Hey everybody, and Tony here. Yes, I know I was supposed to review the Deutsche Oper Berlin's production of La Bayadère. Unfortunately, the members of the Staatsballett Berlin had to cancel this performance for reasons that are beyond personal and probably ones that I should not touch upon. So instead, they gave us these vouchers that we can use to get a free ticket for the Staatsoper im Schiller Theater showing of Neither and Footfalls, which are basically based on the poems by Samuel Beckett and with the composition done by Morton Feldman. The conductor was David Robert Coleman. The production was by Katie Mitchell. The assistant directors were Joseph W. Alford and Vicky Mortimer. The choreography was done by Zigne Fabricius. The lights were handled by John Clark, and the dramaturgy was handled by Jens Schott. Now, Samuel Beckett, if you haven't heard of him, is basically an Irish poet and playwright who was very well known in the early 20th century or the mid 20th century for his dark humor and satire and dark comedy in general, and with a lot of bleak elements. They're not all like Sugar and Rainbows. They're basically very dark and very direct and satirical. And these are works that show the frailty of the human soul, the human body, and the human mind. And he makes commentaries about it as well, especially about society. They're biting commentaries, and for his plays, he has won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1969. A lot of, universities and schools talk about this very prestigious author, ranging from acting schools to colleges that teach English and literature. Basically, a lot of the fields of literature and theater in general talk about Samuel Beckett and use him as a reference to really talk about what is his opinion about society and what is his opinion about the human race and everything else in between, and his language that he uses and his works that are often talked about. In fact, in my acting school, we would always talk about the works of Samuel Beckett and how they are formed and how they're done, how they're performed, and what he feels about society and how it's reflected about them as well. So here it is, the review of Neither and Footfalls. So let's get on to what I thought about the production, the singing, and of course the acting and the conducting. So the production was very much like an art film, like a one-person art film, in which it is an empty space with a lot of doors and just a very bleak-looking wall. And then in the beginning, where we hear the poem Footfalls done in German, we see a woman, May, who was played by Julia Wieninger, who is a German actress. And right on the pit, we hear her mother's voice, also done by Julia Wieninger. So she's constantly walking around on stage, and, for some reasons other than, she's trying to find her way out of this situation that she's in, this loneliness that she's in. And then when we reach to Neither, we not only see May, we also see several other women walking around the room trying to get out. And then we see one side is all lit with the door open, the other side has the door closed. So you see them walking left and right, and it's all dark and very much ominous. You feel an ominous presence, which really helps the pieces really make the text of Samuel Beckett, come to life and let them have the sort of breath of eeriness and discomfort. But I found it very interesting, and it was such an adventure and thrill for me to really see this production come in motion, thanks to the use of the text by Samuel Beckett. The costumes also were simple, but they also reflect the bleakness of the entire production. So it was a very bleak and very interesting and very, very creepy production. That was a huge thrill for me. And then we get to the acting done by Julia Wieninger. She was able to bring out the insecurities and the uncertainties of May, and when she speaks the role of the mother, she has a certain presence, a very authoritative presence that she really brings out with changing her voice. She's very versatile at her craft and acting, and she uses her voice and presence to such a great advantage that it's so thrilling. And then we have Laura Aiken, one of my most favorite singers of all time. Thank God I managed to see her in this very production. She was just fabulous. She was able to bring out that haunting nature of the text very gorgeously. She was able to vocalize very cleanly. And when she sang pianissimos, they were just heavenly. Her high notes were clarion as usual, and her stage presence just fabulous. So it was just fabulous singing all around by Madame Aiken, and it was just thrilling, especially when it came to the other performers who also played like, well, the other Mays, as I like to call them. They were Claudia Albrecht, Anne Ernst, Katharina Funke, Eva Günther, Iveta Marinova, Janina Schneider, and Silke Vente-Juby. They were basically doing their choreography very well, and it was just very well choreographed, and it really heightened the thrills that I managed to get in this, well, in this very minimalist opera. So overall, this was very well performed, even if there was not a lot to do, but you could really feel that strong presence. The conducting was well done. It was eerie, it was thrilling, it was spooky, it almost left me on the edge of my seats. Just thanks to how Maestro Coleman really knew how to make use of the tension and the thrills to be expected in this, well, in this very minimalist opera. So overall, what a day this was. Yes, it was kind of a shame that the Staatsballett Berlin had to cancel this performance of La Bayadère. But on the other side, it was just very great seeing one of my most favorite singers, Laura Aiken, on stage and really singing her voice out. And it was just great seeing Julia Wieninger really portraying her part well alongside the other players as well. So it was just a great evening just to watch all of these fine artists really do their thing. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow where I review Puccini's La Rondine, which will be done at the the Deutsche Oper Berlin. So until then, good night, everybody.